Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over the Let's Build for the Paladin. I am super excited about this one. I'm actually playing a Zealot Paladin in one of the campaigns, and it is so much fun. But as much as I would like to sit and reminisce on this, we have a lot to get into today because there is 4 subclasses and most of these levels are filled. All right, let's jump right in. I'm going to be going over the leveling benefits from the base class, and then I'm going to be talking about each of the subclasses and how I would build each one of them. Just as a refresher, I am choosing to do Variant Human and Standard Array just so that I have a baseline for all the builds. I'm not going to be doing multi-classing because I'm pushing all of these builds out to level 20 in their appropriate classes. I'm not going to be including gear upgrades, gear from background, spells from leveling, and languages. Unless those are important, such as a spell that might change how you play or an upgrade to your armor that is important, as we will see with the Smiter. All right, at level 1, we start off with an aura. This is an area of effect that is always active as long as you are conscious. It affects either your allies or your enemies, depending on which one. It goes off your spell save DC, 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus charisma modifier, if it has a DC. And it has a range of a number of feet equal to 5 times your proficiency bonus. So unlike the the D&D Paladin, this aura scales as you level instead of going from 10 feet up to 30 feet. I really didn't like that. So I just said, hey, here's a nice scaling way to deal with it. Also, in Diablo, your aura starts getting bigger. I think your aura gets bigger as you level up, as you put more points into it, so it fits. You only get one aura active at a time, and you can use a bonus action to change which aura is active. Way back in ye olden days, this was once per long rest. Like after you finish a long rest, you choose an aura and that was it for the day. And then later on you got quick change aura, which changed it to a short rest. And then I was like, no, this is way too stupid, way too complex. I want people to use their abilities, so bonus action change. You start off with 1 at first level, and then you get another one at 6th and 14th levels. And then your subclass can also grant you additional auras. Also, as a part of this, at level 18, your auras gain an improvement. This sometimes adds an additional effect, or it may improve the base effect of the aura itself. Also, all auras are based on your choice, so you can choose to include or exclude as you wish. If you really wanted to, you could exclude yourself, but I don't know why you would want to. Okay, let's jump into them. Let's start with Blessed Aim. Each creature of your choice within the aura gets a +1 bonus to their weapon attack rolls, and then the improvement at 18 becomes a +2. It makes it a +2. Cleansing is a 6th level aura that gives creatures of your choice resistance to poison and advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the poisoned condition, and its improvement gives a bonus action to end the poison condition. Concentration is another 6th level aura. Any creature that makes an attack with disadvantage adds your charisma modifier to the attack. So even though you're taking this massive hit by rolling with disadvantage, this shores it up so that you have a better chance of succeeding. Its improvement is incredibly good. It allows you to roll an additional die when you roll with disadvantage, and then you choose 2. So I don't know the exact math on that, but I know that it's pretty darn good, especially since you are adding your charisma modifier to the attack, regardless. Conviction at 14th level gives you the ability to inflict additional cold fire or lightning damage to creatures of your choice. It's 2 additional damage. And then in the improvement, removes cold fire and lightning resistance. Conviction is very, very, very powerful. And it can break immunities in Diablo 2, though in D&D, the immunities are slightly different, so I'm not putting that in there. Meditation is also another very powerful one at 14th level. Whenever a creature of your choice expends a spell slot to cast a spell, it rolls a d20. On a 19 or 20, it regains a spell slot of that level or lower up to a maximum of 5th level. This is your caster-friendly aura. Meditation in Diablo increases your mana regeneration, so mana becomes spell slots kind of thing. The 19 or 20 is a change. It was only a 20 before I changed it to a 19 or 20, so that you can have it a little bit more happen a little bit more often, and it's a 14th level ability, so you'd want to have it be a little bit more powerful. And then its improvement is that the creature rolls twice and chooses one result, so makes it a lot more likely. Might is a first level spell that grants +1 damage to weapon attack rolls, and then its improvement becomes a +3. Might is a very nice low-level aura in Diablo, and it's going to be great here. The reason why it's not a +2 bonus to damage like Blessed Aim's +2 to hit is that damage is a whole lot easier to sponge, and when you're dealing with creatures that have 200-300 health, 1 point is not going to make too much of a difference, whereas with Blessed Aim, +1 to hit is way more impactful. Prayer is another level 1 aura, and this allows creatures to spend a bonus action to expend a hit die, roll it, and then add your charisma modifier and regain hit points equal to the result. Prayer is mostly used as a synergy in Diablo 2 because it rapidly drains your mana. But the later auras, I think it's cleansing and meditation, and I think there's one more. They all get prayer synergies. They basically get the benefit of prayer without the downside of draining your mana. And that's where the improvement comes in. When you activate an aura, you may activate prayer and another aura. So prayer is the only one that stacks. Redemption is a 14th level aura that allows you to roll a number of d4s equal to half the number of a dead creature's hit dice, rounded down, which becomes a pool of hit points that you can immediately distribute as you choose among any number of conscious creatures within the aura. This is a way to get bodies off the battlefield in Diablo 2. It eats the corpses and then heals the people inside of the aura, your allies. And then the improvement increases the number of d4s rolled from half the creature's hit dice to equal to the creature's total number of hit dice. And lastly, Vigor is a 6th level aura that increases everybody's speed by 5 and gives advantage on saving throws to resist gaining exhaustion. Its improvement essentially doubles the effect from 5 feet to 10 feet, and the creatures cannot be exhausted except through lack of food, water, or rest. So if you're in for example, a forced march, or if you're swimming or something like that, you just don't become exhausted. It's a great exploration thing, but it's not as powerful in combat. You get a second ability at level 1, Blessings of the Light. Those of you that have played Diablo 3 know exactly where this is coming from, or where the name comes from. But I decided, let's take some of that benefit that paladins are supposed to have, manipulating the light and granting blessings, and put it into an ability. So this is something that came up from just having to get something on the paladin level 1 beyond an aura. Okay, you channel Holy Light to bless a creature. As an action, you can touch another creature and give it a blessing die, a d4. For 1 minute, each time the creature makes an ability check or a saving throw, it rolls the die and adds the result to the ability check or saving throw. A creature can have only 1 blessing die at a time. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of once, per long rest. And then at 11th level, your blessing die becomes a d6. So this is basically a crossover between the Bard's Bardic Inspiration and the spell Bless. You can't use it on attack rolls, but you get it for 1 minute. It's very, very nice. I've actually used this a couple of times as we were trying to repair a mast or fix, like imbue magic into something. And not me, but I went around and I touched my companions, gave them a D4, and it helped significantly. Okay, moving on to level 2, you are a paladin, and you are expected to get a fighting style. So, you can pick the defense fighting style, dueling, great weapon fighting, or protection. Defense just increases your AC, dueling increases your damage with one-handed weapons, great weapon fighting allows you to reroll 1s and 2s on two-handed weapons, and protection allows you to impose disadvantage to creatures that are being attacked next to you. Fairly simple, very self-explanatory. At second level, you also get spellcasting. I am not going to go over this. It is lifted copy-paste, literally copy-paste from the Paladin spellcasting from D&D. All right, at third level, you get your subclass. You can choose the Avenger, the Holy Fist, the Smiter, and the Zealot, and I will get into each of those after we go over the base class. At level 4, we get an ability score increase or a feat, and you can get this again at 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th levels. I mean, literally, again, copy-paste. 5th level is extra attack. Fairly standard for martial classes. You can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. Now, we're going to jump up to 10th level because 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th are all combinations of features that we had before or just empty levels. But at level 10, we get Blessed Hammer. Upon reaching 10th level, you always have the spell Blessed Hammer prepared. It doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare each day, and you can cast it once per long rest without expending a spell slot. But you can also cast it using the appropriate spell slots. This was an ability. I think it was just, as an action, you deal 2d8 in an area, but it's creatures of your choice. Whereas the spell is basically the same thing, but it's now 4d8 force damage. Pretty much the same thing, but it's a little bit better. It is a 10th level ability, and I kind of wanted to let people play that hammered in play style. This is the one subclass or one build of the Paladin that I wasn't able to get, able to make, was the Blessed Hammer Paladin. You can't just go around spamming Blessed Hammer in D&D. Now, maybe when we get to the 2024 edition and I can bring in Diablo 4, that might be something that you can do or have some variation of it. But as of right now, you're not going to be walking around casting third level spells willy-nilly. You're also a half caster, so it's third level spells are very, very impressive, or very good. At 11th level, you get Guidance of the Light. At 11th level, your blessing die becomes a d6, and you regain all uses on a short or long rest. I think very similar to the Bardic Inspiration, but I think they get it at 5th level instead of 11th. Anyway, in addition, whenever you make an ability check or saving throw, you can use your reaction to expend one use of Blessings of the Light to roll 1d6 and add the result to the ability check or saving throw, potentially turning the failure into a success. So what this does is it allows you to use, well, your blessing die becomes a little bit better, a d6 instead of a d4. It allows you far more uses because it comes back on a short rest. But also now, if you need to, it's much less efficient, but if you need to, you can expend that Blessings of the Light on yourself. And that makes the Paladin's ability way more useful, because sometimes, like, if you need to make a persuasion check, nobody else is a charisma-based character or has proficiency in persuasion or something like that. Now you can make that ability check and add a d6 to it. This is a change from the previous version. It was originally a failed ability check or saving throw. Now it is just anytime you make an ability check or saving throw. I'm not sure if I have to include like when you roll the die, but the intention is, so you can use it on a failed roll, but sometimes it's like, how much information do you get out of this person? And so on the no real meter beat DC checks. It's just I roll and then I can add the blessings die. But on the meter beat DC checks, then it is, do I pass, do I fail, and then add the die. Okay, between 11th level and 18th level, there is much like the between 5th and 10th levels, there's nothing, or there's just abilities that we have gotten before. And then at 18th level, we gain our aura improvements. Your auras get way better. I mean, they're 18th level. They should be 18th level abilities. So that is it for the base class. It's actually fairly short. Like there's 2 levels here for aura, 1st, 6th, and 14th. There's a ton with your subclass. There's a ton with your ability score increase. So yeah, there's not a lot to really go over for the base class. But overall, I think that the base class is pretty darn solid as a class itself. It feels like a Diablo Paladin. Now, something that I had considered but I haven't changed is the ability to swap out your auras. The Necromancer has curses, and they can swap out which curses they get, but they only get 2 curses. Whereas in this case, you get 3 auras, and then you get a minimum of 1 more aura from your subclass. And some of them have 2 auras. I think 2 of them have 2 auras. So I am not going to, for right now, allow you to swap out which auras you have. Another problem is that you're going to end up just picking up like conviction and or meditation and redemption. Like you're going to be swap out until you get those 2, because those are the best auras. But also, I want you to like have a choice, make decisions. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, let's jump into the subclasses. Like I said at the very beginning, this is going to be using Standard Array and Variant Human. So we're going to have basically the same stats across the board, just in different places. So let's jump right in. The first subclass is the Avenger Paladin. The Avenger Paladin is an elemental paladin. They focus on fire and lightning and cold damage. They focus on resisting or inflicting that damage. We're going to start off with our stats with a 15 in strength, an 8 in dexterity, a 13 in constitution, 10 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and a 14 charisma. You are a paladin. You want to have that strength. You want to have that constitution. You want to have that charisma. Your dexterity is basically a dump stat because you're going to be using heavy armor, which is just a set AC. For the variant human, we're going to be putting points into strength and constitution, bump them up to that even so that we get a +3 bonus from strength, +2 to constitution. We are picking up nature for this Avenger, and the reason comes from the background that I'll get into in a little bit. The Piercer feat is our feat of choice for this. We're going to be using a Morning Star, so being able to inflict a little bit of additional damage, reroll some of those damage dice, very, very handy. Pick up that point in strength to bump it to a 17, so at level 4 we can pick up a feat that gives us another point in strength rather than a double strength for this one. So the background is Feylost. This is one that I discovered as I was just kind of scrolling through, trying to come up with something. Feylost is the idea of somebody who was captured or accidentally wandered into the Feywild in D&D. But in this case, I'm changing the flavor a little bit. Either they had some kind of angelic or demonic interaction, or maybe some spiritual thing, something that's not divine or demonic, that introduced them to kind of this elemental, not obsession, but elemental interest. So they have essentially some kind of connection to nature itself. But this gives them proficiency in deception and survival, and an instrument which I picked up as the pan flute. No real reason why, just it seemed interesting. For our skills, we're picking up insight and persuasion, being able to interact with people, picking up on their motivations, and allowing this person to kind of appeal to certain kinds of natures. We are a semi-caster subclass where we're not focusing so much, or not focusing entirely on swinging a weapon. We're going to be casting spells and inflicting saving throws, so we're going to be bumping our charisma up to 20 by the end of this. So being able to see somebody's motivations and then appeal to them, you're going to be able to get that really, really juicy rolls on persuasion. For our gear, like I said, we're starting off with a Morning Star and a shield. You're going to be doing one hand and a shield. You're picking up 5 javelins so that we can, if we really need to, chuck them down range. A priest's pack, some chainmail, and a holy symbol. Basic stuff. For the aura, we're picking up Blessed Aim. The Avenger, while they are a semi-caster, half-caster class, subclass thing, focuses a lot on vengeance at level 15. So we want to be able to hit as often as possible because that vengeance adds a ton of damage. So Blessed Aim just gives us the ability to hit more often. And it also works very well with your barbarians and your fighters and whatnot, your marshals. Also, Blessed Aim does work with ranged weapons, just so you're clear. Okay, at level 2, we're picking up the dueling fighting style. We could pick up protection. We could pick up the armored one, defense fighting style. But I went with dueling because this is kind of your burst damage. Well, okay, they're all kind of quote-unquote burst damage. But this one is very much the I want to hit as often and hit as hard as possible. So picking up that dueling fighting style, +2 to your damage on with one-handed weapons. Very, very nice. At level 3, we're going to pick up Resist Element and Elemental Cantrip. Resist Element is an aura that when you activate it, you choose Cold, Fire, or Lightning, and then any time a creature of your choice is damaged by that chosen type, reduce the damage by half your Charisma modifier rounded up to a minimum of 1. Its improvement is that the creatures gain resistance to that type instead. So you start off with reducing a little bit of damage, and then at higher levels, it's just flat resistance. But since Resist Element does go off our Charisma, like I mentioned earlier, we want to have a fairly high Charisma. Now, Resist Element is not always going to be used. It's more situational, because you're not always going to be fighting Cold, Fire, or Lightning damaging creatures. So you might default back to that Blessed Aim. So because you also get Invoke Element at level 7, 2 auras that you can only use occasionally, you also get Elemental Cantrip. When you take the subclass at 3rd level, you gain either Charged Bolt, Firebolt, or Ice Bolt. These are all sorcerer spells. Charged Bolt is a 15-foot cone of lightning damage. Firebolt and Ice Bolt are fire damage and ice damage. Ice Bolt, I think, gives disadvantage on the next weapon attack. Firebolt is just long range D10 damage. But the nice thing about this is that you can swap out the cantrip after a long rest. So you only get one cantrip, but you can switch out which one you want anytime you get up from your daily rest. Now, I guess picking up Firebolt does mean that you don't necessarily need your javelins because you're dealing damage at 120 feet instead of chucking a physical object. But because you're starting off with that 16 rather than your 14, or 16 strength rather than 14 charisma, it's just better to have javelins as well. At level 4, we are picking up Heavy Armor Master. I am severely limited on the number of strength-based or strength-increasing feats that you can get because I don't have access to the giant treasury of giants or whatever the thing is. Big B presents, no, whatever. Anyway, I don't have access to the giant one, the giant book, which gives a ton of, giant feats and some of the other ones. So I'm defaulting to Heavy Armor Master because it's just also really dang good. Your Avenger is going to be up in front of everybody, smacking people with their Morning Star. So having some some physical damage reduction is just very, 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 very nice. At level 6, we're picking up Concentration. Like I mentioned earlier, with Blessed Aim, if you're fighting in darkness, if you are poisoned, if you are whatever, being able to switch from just a flat +1 to adding your charisma bonus to your bonus to hit, it sets off the disadvantage of disadvantage. At level 7, we're getting Invoke Element. Invoke Element is your Holy Fire, Holy Shock, Holy Freeze. Yeah, Holy Freeze. And they've all been mashed into one, similar to how the Resist Element is your Resist Fire, Resist Cold, Resist Lightning. When you activate this aura, choose Fire, Cold, or Lightning. At the end of each of your turns, each creature of your choice within the aura makes a dexterity saving throw. On a fail, a creature takes 1d4 damage of the chosen type. The improvement bumps it to 2d4. Now, the damage is pretty low on this, but this is also a 7th level area of effect with basically no downside. There's no resource cost. You can turn it on and then run around the battlefield doing whatever you'd like. So, yeah, it's just a ton of damage in a fairly small area. I think when you get it this time, it is a 15-foot radius. Yeah, it's a 15-foot radius. So it's a decent size, but you have to be basically like right up close to somebody in order to actually get them in there. But that's what you're doing with this anyway. So at level 8, we are bumping up our strength to 20. Fairly standard stuff. And at level 12, we are going to be bumping our charisma. This is the start of pushing that charisma out to 20 so that our spell save DC and our bonus to hit is much, much better. At 14th level, we get conviction. This is the one that you are probably going to spend the most of your time on from now on. Conviction is just good. It is just amazing when you get that 15th level and you pick up Vengeance. Vengeance at 15th level is insane. You spend a bonus action and then you deal additional damage equal to half your charisma modifier rounded down, minimum of 1 each. But that means that you're dealing cold and fire and lightning. At this point, you have a +3 bonus, so it's only a +1. It's only +1 damage, but that's +3 damage for your total. But conviction, because cold, fire, and lightning deals 2 additional damage each, you're dealing not just 3 damage, you're dealing 9 damage. That might be too good. That might be too good. The reason why conviction is the way that it is with a 2 additional damage is because it is. I wanted to help it get something additional when you're dealing with resistances, which would cut the damage. Now, I might have to nerf conviction because of this, but I mean, you're level 15, bonus action to deal 9 additional damage. It's very good, and it might be nerfed in the near future. Anyway, let's move on. At 16th and 19th levels, we are picking up the last 2 ability score increases, putting them into charisma to bump that all the way up to 20. And speaking of 20s, at level 20, we get our final subclass benefit, which is Salvation. When you choose the damage type for resist element, you can choose each type instead. Salvation in Diablo is just bumping your fire, cold, and lightning resistances at a flat level. It's less than the individual ones, but it's broader because it hits 3 elements rather than just 1. So Salvation is actually just an improvement to your resist element. And keep in mind, by this time, at 20th level, resist element says each creature gains resistance to that type instead. So now you have a resist element that gets 3 resistances in a 30-foot radius. Remember the Barbarian's 20th level ability? They gain resistance to fire, cold, lightning, and poison. This is really good. So resistant element might actually show up a bit more often than you might think at that high level. And that is the Avenger. I don't hate it. I think there might be some balancing issues with Conviction and Vengeance. But overall, I don't think it's terrible. I kind of did go for that caster class, picking up a cantrip. I thought about doing like a build, a kind of backline heavy armor build where you pick up some spellcasting feats and you can focus all in on charisma, but I decided against it and decided to focus instead on doing exactly what this class is intending you to do, which is be on the front lines. So, from the Avenger, we shall move on to the Holy Fist. The Holy Fist is the Fist of the Heavens Paladin. Fist of the Heavens is a very, very good ability. You're getting it at level 20 here, but this was one that I played through in Diablo 2, and I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty fun. It mixes up your lightning and your radiant damage, so regardless of, if you're running into magic immunes, or not radiant damage, magic damage. If you're running into magic immunes, you can call down thunder or call down lightning on this person, or if you're running into lightning immunes, then you can call down a lot of, radiant or magic damage on them. And, woe be unto those who are resistant to both or immune to both. Holy Fist is a very specific subclass, very focused on one particular thing, but I'm going to talk about that when we get through it. So we're going to start off at level 1 with basically the same stats as the Avenger: 15 strength, 8 dexterity, 13 constitution, 10 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 14 charisma. Variant human points go into strength and constitution. We're picking up insight, very important for this one, and inspiring leader, also very important. This character is a Boros Legionnaire. This background is from the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. The Boros Legionnaire the Boros are the police of the realm. They are the ones who work to capture the criminals, detain them, and then hand them over to the Azorius for judgment. They're kind of the executive branch of the kind of government of Ravnica. Not a good look for right now. Anyway, the Boros work with angels. A lot of angels. And this is one of the reasons why I chose it, because the Holy Fist is very heaven-focused. You are fighting against demons, you're fighting against undead. This is righting the wrongs of injustice and fighting against the unnatural incursions into the world. So that's why you're a Boros Legionnaire. It's because you are working directly with heaven to fight against the demons and the undead. So you are a natural leader. You have insight, being able to pick up on their kind of body language and whatnot. And inspiring leader allows you to give temporary hit points, but you are an inspiring leader. You are the person who calls people to action. So we're picking up athletics and intimidation from the Boros Legionnaire background, picking up playing cards as a basically ribbon feature. But our skills, the things that we have trained in, is persuasion and religion. You are very, very, very much a people person. You are going out, leading on the front lines against the incursions upon your world. I just love that flavor. I love that flavor very, very, very much. All right, for our gear, we're picking up a warhammer and a shield, 5 javelins, an explorer's pack, chain mail, and a holy symbol. Pretty standard kit for any paladin. For the aura, we are picking up prayer. The Holy Fist is the healer, the kind of leader/healer of the paladins. So picking up prayer allows people to roll those hit dice, add your charisma. We're going to be bumping up our charisma and regaining hit points from there. This isn't quite as defensive as, say, the Smiter, but it is, it's more triage, I guess. So at level 2, we're picking up the protection fighting style. Like I said, very defensive. Instead of personal protection, you're going to be fighting on the front lines and protecting your allies. So you can throw your shield in between them and an attack. At level 3, we pick up our subclass and get Holy Bolt. At 3rd level, as an action, you can choose a creature within 60 feet of you, then choose 1. The creature regains 1d8 plus your charisma modifier hit points. Or if the creature is a fiend or undead, it makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a fail, it takes 1d8 plus your charisma modifier radiant damage. And a creature can only be healed by this once per short or long rest. And at 11th level, the amount healed and the damage dealt is increased to 2d8 plus your charisma modifier. This does not scale very well after extra attack, but for what it's worth, you get free healing. It has the same restriction as the healer feat, where a creature can only be healed by this once per short or long rest. But keep in mind that you have that inspiring leader, so you're not going to be doing a ton of, or I should say, you are going to be doing a ton of healing and preventative healing by getting that those temporary hit points on your allies. But being able to essentially, what's the word? It's or with the spell. It's not healing. It's healing word. I think it's healing word. It's basically an action version of healing word. Maybe the damage dice could be changed. Maybe the amount healed and damage dealt could be modified. I don't know, but it is still being able to heal somebody from a fair distance away. Now, the dexterity saving throw is only fiend or undead, and that makes this subclass very, very niche. If you're not fighting against fiends or undead, this is basically just you can cast healing word once per ally. That's basically it. But that might be enough. Honestly, that might be enough. That is exactly how Holy Bolt works in Diablo 2, by the way, is that it only deals damage to fiends and undead. It does not heal or deal damage to humans or animals. Or they don't have humans in there. It doesn't deal damage to animals. All right, at level 4, we're going to be picking up Strength to bump our Strength up to 18. And then at level 6, we are picking up Blessed Aim. Now, this is interesting because normally you'd want to pick up a 6th level aura, but Blessed Aim bumping our bonus to hit is it's honestly a choice. But keep in mind, at level 6, we're starting to get 3rd level spells online. We're starting to get a lot more defensive abilities. You should have higher ACs now, so being able to hit more often might be a benefit. At level 7, we pick up the Sanctuary Aura. Now, this one is... oh, this is so niche. At the start of each of your turns, each fiend or undead of your choice within the aura makes a strength saving throw. On a fail, a creature takes radiant damage equal to your charisma modifier and is pushed 5 feet away from you, or takes half damage rounded down and isn't pushed on a success. But the damage is unaffected by resistance. If you ever come in contact with a radiant or a creature that is resistant to radiant damage. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there it is. The improvement says that the damage becomes twice your charisma modifier and a creature is pushed an additional 5 feet on a fail. Sanctuary in Diablo 2 is basically that. Every second it pulses out and knocks skeletons and your demons back. It's very handy. It keeps you a lot safer, but it's also, like I said, incredibly niche. So maybe use it, maybe not. This one, for all intents and purposes, unless you're playing in Diablo, is basically just a ribbon feature. You basically don't have a 7th level ability. But in the cases where you are fighting against fiends or undead, it is incredibly useful. Just free damage. All right, at 8th and 12th levels, we're going to be bumping up our charisma. This is normally reserved for some of the later levels, but because you are healing based on your charisma, you're dealing damage based on your charisma, picking up 18 charisma right now is just very, very good. At 14th level, we're picking up Redemption, getting a ton more healing in this case. And at 15th level, our subclass ability gives us Conversion. Much like Sanctuary, Conversion is basically a ribbon feature unless you're fighting against fiends or undead. When you reach 15th level, your words can reach even the most horrible of hearts. If you spend 1 minute speaking to a fiend or undead with challenge rating less than your level, you can have it make a charisma saving throw against your spell save DC. On a fail, it is charmed by you and views you and anyone you choose as an ally for 1 hour. On a success, it is immune to this ability for 24 hours. That includes the ability of other paladins, by the way. If you are hostile to it, it has advantage on the saving throw, and the effect ends immediately if the creature knows you took any action that would harm it after it was charmed. So after it was charmed, if it finds out that you took an action that would harm it after it was charmed, then the effect ends. That's worded poorly. Anyway, Any creature immune to the charmed condition or with an intelligence score of 4 or less automatically succeeds the saving throw. So if you're immune to charm, or if you're just plain stupid, then you're unaffected because you don't have the ability to understand what the person's saying. Now, conversion in Diablo 2 is an attack, but in this case, I tweaked it so that it's, not an attack, because it kind of feels weird to punch somebody and suddenly they're your friend. Guy jokes aside, that's not how this works in D&D. So being able to speak to someone and get them onto your side, very, very handy, but only works on fiends or undead. I probably should give persuasion. That might be something that I could do, is just you gain proficiency in persuasion, or you double your proficiency in a persuasion check, or something like that. I don't know. At level 16, we are going to be bumping up our charisma to 20, which is unusual because normally we bump our strength up to 20 first, but that is going to be level 19's benefit. And then at level 20, you finally get the name of the subclass, the Fist of the Heavens. When you reach 20th level, your order has entrusted you with the secrets of calling down holy lightning. As an action, choose a point within 30 feet of you. Each creature of your choice within 5 feet of that point makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a fail, a creature takes 2d12 lightning damage. Then, for each creature of your choice within 30 feet of that point, you may choose one, and then it's the ability Holy Bolt ability. It's literally just copy-paste from the Holy Bolt ability. This is actually really nice. This is kind of the... it's not Thunderstorm. I think it's called Lightning for the D&D Druid. Just being able to target a place and then blast it with full lightning. But in this case, you get Holy Bolts in addition to that. So this is really good against mobs of undead or demons, fiends. And that is the Holy Fist. I like it. I really do like this one. I just don't like the fact that it's incredibly niche, because all those abilities only work against fiends or undead. It is campaign specific. This is like the Ranger of the Paladins. You have to pick the right campaign for the right thing. I mean, if you're fighting like in Curse of Strahd, if you're going to Curse of Strahd with this one, it is going to blow it out of the water. But if you are fighting in, I don't know, anywhere else, Theros, for example, or Homebrew Worlds, you basically have Holy Bolt up till level 20. And that's basically it. Sanctuary is useless, Conversion is useless, and then Fist of the Heavens at level 20. So it's a very, very niche class, but I personally like it. Now, something that you could do is pick up the Healer feat as well. Sacrifice one of your ability score increases to pick up the Healer feat. That way you have Inspiring Leader, you have Healer, and you have Holy Bolt. So you just have a ton of damage reduction and healing without even expending spell slots. But that is another build for another time. So let's move on to the Smiter. This one, oh my gosh, this was the first Paladin that I played in Diablo 2, and the Smiter holds a very, very, very special place in my heart, because Smiters are so much fun. It is back the boss up against the wall and beat the snot out of them with your shield. Okay, let's jump right in. Basically the same stats. We're 15 in strength, 8 dexterity, 13 constitution, 10 intelligence, 12 wisdom, 14 charisma. Variant human points into strength and constitution. I picked up animal handling because it was unusual. There's nothing special about it. And I picked up the crusher feat, putting points into strength. For the background, I picked up gladiator, in part because I kind of viewed the Smiter as the armored warrior. And that's, at least in manga, a very common trope of seeing this walking tank move out into the arena. So picking up acrobatics and performance from your background, you also pick up a disguise kit, or proficiency with a disguise kit, and with a dulcimer. Again, no real reason, just because it looked interesting. And then for the skills, I picked up athletics and medicine. Got to be able to lift those weights. Got to be able to heal yourself after a match. For the gear, we're picking up a war pick, a shield, 5 javelins, an explorer's pack, chainmail, and a holy symbol. Now, the war pick is interesting. The war pick is a piercing damage weapon, but we picked up Crusher at level 1 for our variant human feat. Now, there's a reason for this. If I was DMing, I would allow the war pick to also do bludgeoning damage, because some of them have a spike on one end and a flat hammer on the other, or sometimes a 4-pointed hammer, like points on the corners. And the intention is that they act as a can opener. You hit somebody with the spiky end, and it punctures right through plate mail. I would allow a war pick to do either bludgeoning or piercing damage. But the reason why we pick up Crusher at level 1 and not later is going to be very apparent as we move on. But yeah, if you don't want to have a war pick, you pick up a Warhammer or something like that. It doesn't really matter. For the aura, we're picking up Might. This is a tank damage dealer, so Might just all points into damage. Well, I say all points into damage, and then at level 2, we're picking up the defense fighting style. The reason why we're picking up the defense fighting style is because this is a tank. You want to put in as much points into defense as you possibly can. Now, chainmail starts us off with a 16 armor class. Since we are wielding a shield, that bumps us up to 18. Defense bumps us up to 19. This is where I'm going to mention a spell, Shield of Faith. Shield of Faith is a concentration spell. It is touch, so you can choose another creature, but you're most often going to be choosing yourself, and you're going to be bumping up your AC by 2. I would highly suggest, as soon as you possibly can, upgrading your armor to the best of your abilities. The goal, of course, is full plate with an 18 AC, because it's just the best. But right now, 16 AC from your chainmail is not terrible. So we're picking up the defense fighting style at level 2. We're picking up Smite at level 3. And this is where the Crusher feat comes in. Crusher allows you to move people around the battlefield with bludgeoning damage. Smite says your shield is now a weapon. Shields you wield are treated as martial melee weapons and deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage. You still gain the benefit of only one shield at a time. And then when you hit a creature with your shield, you can move it 5 feet away from you, provided the creature is no more than one size larger than you. At 15th level, you can move it up to 10 feet. So, you are hitting somebody, knocking them back. Crusher moves them an additional 5 feet. It allows you to use your shield as a weapon. You are running around the battlefield, your war pick in one hand, completely forgotten as you beat people to death with your quote-unquote offhand. Now, please keep in mind that you do not have the ability to dual wield, because the shield is not light. You have to have a special feature, a special ability, in order to use non-light weapons. Which is what we're going to be doing at level 4 when we pick up the dual wielder feat. +1 AC, your ability to use non-light weapons in both hands, as well as being able to draw and stow 2 one-handed weapons at a time. This is insane. Your shield is now a weapon, so you can hit twice with your shield and then hit once with your war pick as a bonus action because you are dual wielding. This is why we pick up Might rather than Blessed Aim or Prayer. Blessed Aim gets you more accurate. Might gets you more damage. You're making 3 attacks, so you want additional damage as much as you possibly can. Now, Blessed Aim could be really nice. It doesn't, take your pick. But I went with Might instead. So let's calculate all of this. We have a 16 from Chainmail. We have an 18 from our shield. We have a 19 from defense. We have a 20 AC from Dual Wielder. And it doesn't stop there. I guess we also have Shield of Faith, so that's 22 currently. But it gets higher. At level 6, we're going to pick up Concentration. You're making a ton of attacks. Disadvantage is annoying, so being able to add your Charisma modifier to the damage, or to the bonus to hit, this is kind of to offset the lack of Blessed Aim. At level 7, we pick up the Defiance Aura, which increases AC across the board by 1. And then the improvement at level 18 is +2. So right now we have what did I say, 22? Now we have a 23 defense. This is getting stupid, and I love it. At level 8, we're going to pick up the Piercer feat, which will give us an 18 in strength. We have been sitting at a +3 strength for this whole time. It's not ideal, but you want to get that dual wielder feat. You want to get that crusher feat, because otherwise it's just not going to really come together. So you're going to use crusher with your shield. You hit twice with your shield, and then you attack with your offhand, which is, well, or main hand, offhand, whatever. You attack with your war pick, and this is where the Piercer comes in. You could pick up Heavy Armor Master. You could pick up anything else, but I chose Piercer to get that extra damage. Like I said, tank and damage dealer. At level 12, we're going to bump that strength up to 20. Fairly standard stuff. At level 14, we're picking up the Redemption Aura. Redemption allows us to heal back some of the damage that's coming in through failed dexterity saving throws or hits against our 23 AC. And it's also just very handy to distribute among the other players. So it's nice to have. At level 15, we're going to pick up Charge. Now, Charge is very, very handy. Keep in mind, at this level, also, your Smite increases the movement from 10 feet, or from 5 feet to 10 feet. Even though we have, Crusher, which can move them an additional 10 feet, or 5 feet. In this case, you're picking up the ability to dash as a bonus action, but the only actions you can take that turn are attack or dash. So if you really want to, you can dash as an action, dash as a bonus action, and then move. You can literally charge across the battlefield. And then if you move at least 10 feet straight towards a target immediately before attacking it, and you hit with a melee weapon attack on the same turn, the target takes additional 1d6 damage. So what this does is it is a synergy with Smite. You walk up to somebody, you start at the front lines, or you start like a couple feet away from each other. You move 10 feet in, attack the creature, hit them, and knock them back 10 feet with your shield. Then you dash as a bonus action, or no, sorry, you don't have to dash as a bonus action. You move 10 feet in, and then you hit them with your shield. And that is an additional 1d6 damage. And then you move up again and you attack them with your war pick. And that's an additional 1d6 damage. So you can get 3d6 additional damage with all of this going on. So it's a very, very, very fun ability. I love this charger fighting style, or lowercase fighting style. I love this play style of running around the battlefield, beating people up with a shield. And I kind of wanted to do it with a Moon Druid, turning into like a ram with the mobile feature and mobile feat and whatnot. But I haven't actually sat down to build that yet. Speaking of mobile, at level 16, that's what we're picking up. You need to be able to run around the battlefield, so bumping your speed up by 10 to 40 is going to be very handy, because you want to keep that bonus action for your war pick to make another attack instead of having to dash as a bonus action. And also this way you can attack with your shield and then bonus action attack with your war pick and then just get the heck out of dodge. So very nice. At level 19, we're going to pick up Charisma bonus. This one I kind of tossed up. Should I not? But considering that Redemption goes off of our Charisma, Concentration goes off of our Charisma, some of our spells would use our Charisma. Not a lot, but Blessings of the Light uses our Charisma. So I figured, well, let's put another couple points into Charisma. You are at least a Paladin. And then, another point. At level 18, I forgot. At level 18, we get our aura improvements. So that bumps our AC up again if we have Defiance active. And that makes our AC, 16... 17, 18 from a shield, 19, 20 from Shield of Faith, 21 from Defense, 22 from Dual Wielder, 23, 24 from Defiance. And then at level 20, we pick up Holy Shield. Holy Shield says, shields you wield are treated as +3 shields and +3 weapons and deal additional 1d6 radiant damage and become magical if they aren't already. So let's take all of that, and then let's just plop a ton more damage and a ton more defense. Fully optimized with a plate mail, you have a 29 AC. 29 AC. You're not being hit. And then, of course, somebody walks in and says, cool, fireball. But, like, redemption. So, but 29 AC, and 27 of that is not concentration. 27 of that is just flat, flat there. This might be too overpowered. Especially treating your shields as +3 weapons, which means that they get a bonus to hit and a bonus to damage, deal an additional 1d6 radiant damage. Granted, this is a level 20 ability, so you should be fine. But walking in, dealing, 1d6 from your shield, 1d6 from charge, 1d6 from radiant damage. So you're dealing 3d6 plus 5 3 times in a turn. Or excuse me, 3d6 plus 5, 6, 7, 8. 3d6 plus 8 twice in a turn. And then Morningstars. War picks are 1d8. So 1d8 plus 1d6 plus 5. Oh shoot, no, you don't add your ability score increase, or you don't add your ability score to the war pick. That charisma bonus at level 19 might have to be fighting style, 2-weapon fighting. But either way, you're making a ton of attacks, you're dealing a ton of damage, you have a massive AC, and you make your DM cry anytime they try to attack you. Or they just throw Tiamat at your face and you die anyway, horribly, with fire. Anyway, let's go on to the last one. So this is the Zealot Paladin. This is the one that I am playing in the campaign that I am in. His name is Aros. He is a farm boy that left between 16 and 18 years of age, joined the Paladins on the Crusade, and decided to protect the realm. I don't have a ton of backstory for this guy. He's just kind of like, this is a class that I want to test. But these are the actual stats that I have. These are the actual like level progressions that I'm planning on doing. This is taking this and showing it to my DM. This is what I'm planning. Now that might change as we play because we're only level 4 right now. But yeah, this is what we have. All right, we're going to start off with our strength at 15, dexterity is 10, constitution is 13, intelligence is 8, wisdom is 12, and charisma is 14. That's intelligence and dexterity got swapped. I can't remember exactly why, but yeah, this is kind of the dumb farm boy sort of thing. He's pretty limber, pretty movable, but not the brightest person. For the variant human, we're going to put our points into strength and constitution. We're picking up animal handling. Like I said, he lived on a farm. And we're picking up heavy armor master. He is a bit of a bulky guy. So having muscle under that heavy armor, he can take a hit. And it's very important that he be able to take a hit because the Zealot Paladin damages themselves to deal damage. So having Heavy Armor Master, having that damage reduction, even against non-magical damage, is incredibly, incredibly handy. I have gone through entire combat encounters where I've taken like 9 damage, and only 3 of that was from the enemy, just because they hit me when I was asleep. The rest of it, I literally did to myself. But I'll get into that. For the background, we picked up Acolyte. Acolyte, there's no real reason behind it. I just kind of was like, he joined the order and decided to be a priestly kind of person. I just picked a background that felt right. So that gives us insight and religion. For our skills, we're picking up athletics and intimidation. He is big, strong boy. He is intimidating. Pretty much it. For the gear, there's a bit of a change. We pick up the halberd, For our martial weapon, keep in mind we got a martial weapon and a shield, so I picked up the halberd as a two-handed option, and then I'm using the shield and the mace, which is a simple option, or a simple weapon instead of the 5 javelins, as my main hand. And then I'm picking up priest pack, chainmail, and a holy symbol. So now this is the one where I would feel comfortable switching out between the defensive option of one-handed and a weapon, or a shield and a weapon, sword and board kind of thing, versus a two-handed. I could very well go Polearm Master, and that might not be a bad build. Picking up Polearm Master, getting that butt end attack with a bonus action. But I decided to go for the kind of moderate build where you get a little bit of defense and a little bit of offense, and find that happy medium. You could very much go all in on offense, go with your 2-weapon fighting, go with your halberd and Polearm Master and Great Weapon Master. You could go all in on beating people up with a ton of damage, but I decided to not go that way. I mean, you could also do full defense as well. You could pick up your Heavy Armor Master, pick up your shield, pick up the defense fighting style, pick up all kinds of things. But I decided I wanted to test it out as a moderate playstyle. For the aura, I picked up Blessed Aim rather than Might. Like I said, you could go all in on offense and pick up Might. I decided to go with Blessed Aim for a reason that I'll get to when I pick up my subclass. At level 2, we're going to get defense, fighting style, a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. This is where we are. At level 3, we're going to pick up Sacrifice. Whenever you make a melee weapon attack, you may take 1d4 necrotic damage, which ignores resistance, immunity, and temporary hit points, and then add the result to the attack and damage rolls. However, this damage doesn't cause you to make Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration on spells. So this is literally pouring your lifeblood into the damage. This is allowing you to hurt yourself in order to hurt the enemy more. Like I said earlier, I took 9 damage in a combat. Keep in mind we're level 4, but I took 9 damage in a combat. Only 3 of that was because of the person that was attacking me. I dealt 6 damage to myself because I was beating the snot out of bandits. This is also why I chose Blessed Aim, because that damage goes to waste if you miss. So I want to be hitting as often as possible so that the damage I'm taking is worth it, because it feels absolutely horrible if I roll a 4 on that d4 and completely whiff. It's a high risk, high reward play. So Blessed Aim kind of minimizes that disadvantage. Okay, at level 4, I'm picking up Crusher. I use a mace. I've upgraded to a Warhammer, so I have a D8 rather than D6, but I'm still going to be using bludgeoning damage. I like Crusher. I just like the ability to push people around the battlefield. At level 6, I'm going to be picking up Prayer. Prayer is just a good way to offset some of the life damage that I'm taking. It's just handy. It's just useful. At level 7, we pick up 2 abilities. Because you have both Thorns and Fanaticism as 2 auras in the subclass, I also gave you Zealotry. Thorns is an aura. Anytime a creature of your choice within the aura is hit with a weapon attack, the attacker takes piercing damage equal to your Charisma modifier. And then the improvement increases the damage to twice your Charisma modifier. So it'd be nice to bump up our Charisma, but I'm going, not all in, but I'm focusing on that physical offense instead. Thorns is not all that good, but it is a non-roll damage. So that means like it's immediate. They don't make a saving throw. It's just if the attacker hits someone, then the opponent takes more damage. The Zealot Paladin is very much, I don't care how much damage I take, as long as you take more damage than me and you die first. It doesn't matter who gets first blood as long as I get the last blood kind of thing. Zealotry is not in Diablo 2, but it is, I feel, very much a flavorful ability. At 7th level, your single-minded focus on your goals has resulted in a keen mind able to shrug off distractions. You have advantage on saving throws to resist the charmed and frightened conditions, and you have advantage on Constitution saving throws to maintain your concentration on spells. So the Zealot is kind of this dumb brute kind of person. I have one goal in mind. I have one single brain cell, and that brain cell is focused on killing you as fast as possible. So, charmed, frightened, I don't care. I'm going to be taking you down. Oh no, I got hit. I've practiced. I can maintain that focus on my saving throws, or to maintain concentration on my spells. So you actually want to focus a lot on the concentration spells that give you benefits. You have your Shield of Faith. You have, technically, like Banishing Smite, for example, might be pretty good with this, because it's a concentration spell that lasts longer than the next hit. But I think that's a pretty good 7th level ability to pick up. It also reduces the strain on like Warcaster or picking up Resilient Constitution. The ability score increase at 8th level is going to go both into Strength to bump that up to 20. And then at level 12, we're going to be picking up another feat, Fighting Initiate Dueling. This one was a back and forth between Fighting Initiate and Tough, because I want to deal more damage, but I want to have more hit points so that I can spend to deal more damage. But what I ended up doing is deciding that, very thematically, if I kill you, that reduces the incoming damage. So, Fighting Initiate, Dueling, being able to just beat someone down with a one-handed weapon is just way better than anything else I'd be doing. At 14th level, we're going to be picking up Redemption. Much like Prayer, this is just healing. I need some way to make myself not die. At 15th level, we get Zeal. Zeal is extra attack with a different name. You can attack 3 times rather than twice when you take the attack action on your turn. Zeal in Diablo 2 is just up to 5 rapid attacks. That's it. That's literally all it is. It works very, very, very nicely with on-hit effects. Things like Crushing Blow or Elemental Damage, things like that. It's just very, very nice. So I translated it to you have an additional attack. Again, very handy with that sacrifice, being able to deal yourself a little bit of damage to deal a little bit more damage. Very, very handy. At 16th level, we're picking up Tough, like I said, for the 12th level ability, or ability score increase. Tough just gives you a little bit more hit points. I thought about bumping the Constitution, but I figured that I would rather have more hit points than a bonus to my Constitution saving throws. And especially since I have Zealotry, I don't need it as much. 19th level, I'm going to bump up my Charisma. Just get that 16, a +3, gives me an additional use of Blessings of the Light, gives me a little bit better for regeneration for my prayer, better spellcasting, things like that. I could get some other kind of like a feat or something, but I decided I wanted to have a 16 Charisma. It just feels much better. And then at level 20, picking up Fanaticism. Fanaticism is an aura that says each creature of your choice within the aura can make a single weapon attack as a bonus action. And then the improvement, which you will have since you are past level 18 anyway, creatures you chose, add your charisma bonus to the attack roll minimum of +1. So they will be, for that bonus action, and only for that bonus action attack, they'll be adding a +3 to hit. And that is the Zealot Paladin. I love this so much. I really, 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 really like the Zealot Paladin. I am playing this character as somewhat impulsive, always running ahead, always putting himself in danger. Like I said, 8 intelligence. 12 wisdom. Granted, I probably should be changing things a little different. Stupid does not mean foolhardy. But he is very much I'm going to jump in front of the damage. I'm going to get in and make sure that I can take care of the threat as fast as possible. Picking up the Heavy Armor Master, picking up Crusher, both of those get a little bit of damage reduction. Just plays very, very nicely into this playstyle. Like I said, if you wanted to go all in, you could pick up Polearm Master for your feat at level 1 for your variant human. Pick up a Halberd, run in, slash, and then hit with the butt end. Pick up Crusher. Is there any polearms that are crushing? I don't think so. Yeah, pick up Slasher. Yeah, pick up Slasher for your Halberd, or if you wanted to go with like a Pike or something, you could pick up Piercer, which would be very, very nice. getting additional damage, that might be not a bad idea. I guess technically you could use a quarterstaff with Polearm Master, can't you? So yeah, you could pick up Crusher, use a quarterstaff two-handed, and beat people up with that. You wouldn't get reach, but still. Fun fact: you could actually use quarterstaff and a shield, so you could use it one-handed or two-handed. That's not a bad build, actually. Yeah, but then you can pick up, for your full offensive one, you could pick up the fighting style, Great Weapon Fighting. You could pick up Great Weapon Master. You could pick up Savage Attacker. You could pick up any number of feats, and then just beat people in. Take your pick of offensive things. This is essentially the fighter, kind of the fighter sort of Eldritch Knight. Only it's like a divine knight, quote unquote divine knight. But yeah, I mean, I love this character so much. He's so stupid and he's so much fun to play, and I love it. I actually haven't pulled out my halberd in quite some time. I just like the one-handed and a shield fighting playstyle. It just feels nice. But yeah, let me know what you think. This has been a lot of fun. I really like the Paladin, and this was a whole lot easier to come up with. In part because each one of these are very, very flavorful, very evocative of the playstyles that they want to play. Your Smiter is just big and tanky. Your Zealot is rush in there, gym bro, deal damage. But you could also play it as someone who's like, very protective of the people. They want to be defensive. It's just, there's so much stuff you can play with in the Paladin. And I really, really hope that people enjoy what I've done. A few balance issues that might be a problem. Avenger. Conviction Vengeance. But overall, I think it's pretty well made. If I do say so myself, I'll pat myself on the back for that. But I'm going to end it here. And we have one last video to make with the Sorceress next week. And that is going to be it. After that is going to be the changes. We're going to be going back to a normal schedule and do the changes for the 2022 or 2024 edition. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I might have to do a change log. I think I'm going to do a change log for next week. And then the week after is going to be the Sorceress. Haven't really decided, but keep your eyes open, keep your YouTube tabs updated so that you can see it when it comes out. All right, I'm going to end it here. You can contact me at XenosFan2, that is XENOZFAN2 on Blue Sky and Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.